Okay, today I will be completing scrunchies for my small business. This is a day's work in my small business.
We're not quite there yet. We just proposed this a couple of days ago. A competitive bidding process, which I think most Americans would support, would mean that state entities have to apply for funding for rebuilding the infrastructure in their states and through local communities or whatever it may be. What the tenets and the specific logistics of that competitive bidding process would be, I'm sure there'll be discussions. Members will have different views. They'll all be advocating for different projects. We certainly expect that, but we're in the early stages of the process. And
so these congressional meetings, these are not about putting specific projects on a list.
No.
The baseball question is, today's home opener for the Texas Rangers is the first Major League Sports event since the pandemic started that allows it open a full house.
Gotta make sure it's on the hook.
Last week. Has he spoken to other team owners to try to deter them and get them to hold off from having full house events?
I don't have any calls from the president to baseball team owners to read out. I would say that the president continues to reiterate the need to follow public health guidelines. There are restrictions, as you all know, recommended, including on masking, social distancing, which of course applies to having a full stadium, and the importance of being vigilant even while we're at war with this virus. We have seen spikes in certain parts of the country, certain regions in the country. That's something we're closely watching, and just a reminder of how important it is to be vigilant.
Sew the elastic instead of tie it in a knot.
Federal assets going to be used to track whether this event actually does lead to a spike?
I would send that question to the CDC. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Shannon. I have a question about immigration. President Biden has spoken publicly about how during the Obama administration, he went to South American countries and has talked about how he has helped negotiate getting $700 million in aid to help those countries prevent the flow of migrants coming north. What lessons did the president learn from that experience that he's applying to dealing with the crisis?
Well, I think one of the reasons the president asked, and tell me if this is answering your question, but one of the reasons the president asked his vice president to play a similar role that he played is because he recognizes that unless we address the root causes in these countries, unless we disincentivize young people, families leaving these countries, we improve the economic conditions, we create spaces for them to be in these countries that avoids the corruption that is in place in many of the governments, we will continue to go through cycle after cycle. Some of these programs, and obviously the funding was not advanced during the last administration, and some of the programs were reversed. So, his experience impacts him and affects him because he knows we need to address the current challenges we're having at the border. Those are immediate. But in order to address it longer term, we need to address the root causes in the countries.
Is his expectation snapping back the funding that was cut during the Trump administration? Or are there additional things that he's expecting to see implemented?
In the region, well, he's proposed $4 billion in funding in his immigration proposal, so he certainly believes that we need more. It's not just reinstituting programs, we also need more, we need to build from there, and he expects to, of course, be briefed by our envoy who's going to be back and forth in the region, which will be involved, and of course the Vice President will be very closely involved in these conversations as well.
We expect on climate, when can we expect to see the U.S.
So don't
commitments under the
forget
Paris
to
Agreement
support my
that the US
YouTube
announced it
channel.
creates
I
or
just
going
started.
forward? When can the
I need
policy,
just
what those
subscribers.
are gonna look like?
I expect when we have our climate summit in a couple of weeks, there'll be an update and we'll discuss more on a big national stage or the bully pulpit, where we are going from here, where we are, where we're going from here, and of course Gina McCarthy and other members of our climate team, former Secretary John Kerry are
Presentation is everything to me.
Putting together plans and working to implement. Go ahead and back.
Yeah. Thank you, Jen. Two questions. First, in response to Kelly's question earlier, he reiterated the U.S.'s strong support for Jordan and for King Abdullah as a strong ally. Now, the reports about the arrest of the deposed Crown Prince and 20 others are now 24 hours old. Has the president made any calls to the king upon reiterating that support?
To read out what I tried to convey to Kelly was that those calls or those engagements would likely happen in the State Department at this point in time.
The other thing on the infrastructure package, there is a private memo that's being circulated in the business community and to some Republican senators that said that
You
the
have your satin silk
$2.25 trillion
scrunchie.
price tag is
You
$1
make sure you
trillion,
take your little snip.
and that there's many things in there that were omitted in the initial discussion of the bill, notably the
Pretty.
$300 billion energy tax credit, the $100 billion for the Green Bank, and that these things would add
Pretty.
$1 trillion to it. This is being circulated on the Hill. Do you have any response to the charge that the president lowballed the price tag on the infrastructure bill?
Sounds mysterious, the memo, the secret memo. Are you
So,
saying,
yep,
just so I
that's
understand
what
your
I'm
question, are you
doing
saying
right
there are
now.
things the president didn't put in his proposal, people think he's
Doing my
going to add to
scrunchie.
his proposal?
No, there's things there that somebody went through it or is claiming to
Please
have gone through it and
subscribe to my
and came up
YouTube
with
channel.
$1 trillion more.
Or if you would like to purchase a
Listed as the
scrunchie,
price tag, so it is
you
actually
can.
$3.25 trillion.
Just comment or message me. I'm
We laid
still
out
working
very
on my
specifically
website, so
each component of the package and how much we're proposing,
you
so
can still
I
message
would
me
encourage you
if
all
you
to
would like to
get your calculators
purchase a
out
scrunchie.
and charge that up and see how it compares to the secret memo. Oh, wait, go
And
ahead, go back,
also,
and then
I
you can
am
go back
making
around to the front. Go ahead.
matching masks
Updated the COVID related
to go with the scrunchie.
Is the administration considering losing
I made one last night.
travel restrictions?
I don't have anything to
I'll
predict
show
on
you.
that front, obviously
So I
that would be
use
done
this
by our health and
material.
medical experts, and we would refer to them for any timeline on the guidelines.
And
Will you accept other vaccines that are approved by other countries that's not approved by
this
FDA?
is the mask that I
We
made.
accept them here in the United States.
Yeah, as like qualified vaccines.
I may not be totally understanding your question. We have ordered supply from the 3 vaccines that have been approved by the FDA. That's what we're focused
All
on
sizes.
distributing to the American public. So I would anticipate we continue to
And that's
focus on
what's
the
this
vaccines that
material.
are FDA approved. Go ahead, you've been very patient.
Thanks. I just have a question that's a follow-up to Caitlin's question
Okay.
on emergence.
Sure.
Alright guys, that's it. I'm gonna continue to work on my scrunchies and I will hit y'all up later.
Wholesale. What does that mean for the AstraZeneca vaccine? And will it affect their ability